This is the ultimate guide to making Cricut miniatures. In this video, I'm going to cover all of the different Cricut machines available and the functions that you can perform. I'll also cover accessories that come with the Cricut and accessories you can buy separately. We'll cover all the different materials you can use to make miniatures. Don't forget, you can use the chapters to skip ahead to a specific part of this video. Cricut has three main machines on the market. First up is the Cricut Joy, which is the smallest and most compact machine. The Cricut Joy is excellent for making vinyl decals, iron-ons and cards. You could certainly use vinyl decals to brighten up a miniature kit, but the functions are a bit limited. The Cricut Explore Air 2 is Cricut's best-selling machine. It's bigger than the Joy and it's able to cut vinyl, cardstock, iron-on, backed fabric and many more things. However, it does not cut wood or thicker materials, which are crucial if you want to make miniature furniture. Having said that, there are plenty of projects you could make with the Air, like I've made these miniature shopping bags using paper and vinyl. The ultimate machine for an avid miniaturist is the Cricut Maker. It's the most versatile machine and can cut over 300 different materials. It's able to cut materials that are thicker and denser. In my opinion, the Cricut Maker is the way to go if you want to create miniatures. I'll refer to the Cricut Maker throughout this guide. So what comes in the box? The Cricut Maker comes with the Cricut Maker machine and all of the relevant cables, a rotary blade, which is used for cutting fabric, a premium fine point blade, a fine point pen in black, the pink fabric grip mat, a blue light grip mat, and they also include some materials to do your first cut. Now let's explore the various tools that can be used with the Cricut Maker. The fine point blade, which comes in the Cricut Maker box, is the standard knife you'll use to cut most materials. This blade does not cut wood or thicker materials. It can be used for paper, cardstock, poster board, vinyl, iron-on, and other thin to medium weight materials. The debossing tip creates depressions in a variety of materials to add dimension and flair to your projects. You can also score with your Cricut using a scoring stylus or a scoring wheel. The stylus fits into the pen holder area and the wheel is a tool that you insert into your Cricut Maker. The knife blade cuts wood and other thick materials and it's only compatible with the Cricut Maker. This blade does not come in the Cricut box and will need to be purchased separately. This tool is a must-have for creating miniatures. These are the main tools I use for making minis. There are lots of other tools available, including fabric blades, foil transfers, perforation, wavy and engraving tools. Blades will need to be replaced from time to time to ensure a crisp cut. Most of the Cricut tools will fit into the right-hand side tool holder on your Cricut machine. You open the clasp like so, fit your tool inside and then close it back up. The Cricut will tell you which tool to use for your selected material. Before commencing the cut, Cricut will detect the tool that you've inserted, and if you've put in the wrong one, it won't allow you to proceed with the cut without changing it to the correct tool. Cricut Mats are used to stick your material down in order to feed it through your machine. There are 4 types of Cricut Mats, and they have a varying degree of stickiness and have different purposes. The blue light grip mat, which comes with the Cricut machine, is the least sticky and best for lightweight materials like printer paper, light cardstock, washi sheets, and wrapping paper. I personally use the green standard grip mat the most. It can be used to cut medium weight materials like cardstock, textured paper, iron-on, vinyl and patterned paper. The strong grip mat is the stickiest mat and holds heavyweight materials like glitter cardstock, magnet sheets, chipboard, leather and wood. This is a must for making wooden miniatures. The fabric mat has a light adhesive and is used for cutting fabrics. It's specifically designed for easy release and can be used with fabric blades. Now you might be wondering, why can't I stick everything onto the purple mat if it's the stickiest? Thinner materials need less sticky mat, so you can remove them once your cut is complete. If you stick a lightweight material onto a strong grip mat, it will tear when trying to remove. Similarly, sticking a heavy material to a light mat means the material will move around and become unstuck during the cut. All of your mats will come with a clear film that sits over the top. Never throw these out. Once you've completed a cut and cleaned material off your mat, you need to place the film back on the front to avoid collecting dust and other particles. I also recommend the Nicapa Mats. They're relatively inexpensive and have the same good quality as the Cricut Mats. There are so many materials you can cut with your Cricut Maker. I've just included some of the common ones that I use to make miniatures. Acetate is a perfect imitation for glass. I made these stained glass windows from acetate. Wood. The Cricut can cut balsa wood, basswood and chipboard up to 2.4mm thick. It will not cut thicker and denser wood like plywood, so you'll need to layer wood pieces together to increase the thickness. All kinds of board material can be used, including presentation board, foam board, craft board, cardboard, and even corrugated board. Board material can be layered together to add depth. There are so many different types of fabrics that the Cricut Maker can cut, perfect for making miniature chairs, curtains, doormats, and even pillows. It can also cut cork sheets and magnet sheets, and there's so many things you can do with these materials. Cardstock is a really versatile material you can use for a number of different mini projects. You can also get glitter and metallic cardstock. I made these shadow boxes using cardstock. I also really like using textured cardstock. It's great for mini wallpaper because it looks similar to the real thing. Vinyl and adhesive contact has a number of great features in the miniature world. I've used them to put logos onto bags, for wallpaper designs and various signs. Copy paper, photo paper and printable stickers. Both the Air and the Maker will allow you to print and cut. Print and cut enables you to upload an image, print out your own design before cutting it out. Many people assume that the Cricut can print as well as cut, but you do need a separate printer to use the print and cut feature. Once you select your chosen material in Design Space, the Cricut will know exactly the right amount of pressure and passes it should complete. Sometimes you may need to change the pressure to less or more, and it's a bit of trial and error. If you're working on a large project, I recommend doing some small test cuts to make sure you've got the pressure and passes just right and you don't waste materials. Now let's talk about the Design Space software. Design Space allows you to create your own designs, upload existing designs, and control the functions of your Cricut machine. The software itself is free, but there are a limited number of shapes and images you can use on the free version. A Cricut Subscription allows you to unlock a wider variety of different fonts, images, and projects. Design Space is available on PC, Mac, iPad, and both Apple and Android phones. I use both the Windows and the iPad version of Design Space. I really like the lock-on function that the iPad has, but keep in mind, when cutting wood, you need to use the USB connection, which requires a PC or Mac version of Design Space. Some miniaturists design their own projects outside of Design Space using Illustrator, Procreate, or other graphic design software, and then load it into Cricut Design Space to cut out. On my YouTube channel, I try to show tutorials for making minis inside the Design Space software to teach you the various functions and processes. Now let's talk about the functions in Cricut Design Space. I've not included everything here, but just the main features that I use to make minis. Cut. This one's pretty obvious, but the cut function will cut out lines on your project when selected. Duplicate allows you to clone an object. Text will allow you to create words with different fonts. You can then either cut these out from materials like cardstock or vinyl, or you could also use fonts to write with a pen. Shapes allows you to create basic, free geometric shapes for your project. Under Images, you can locate a number of patterns and other complex shapes, which can be used to design different miniatures. Most of these require a Cricut Access subscription, or you'll incur a charge when used on your project. The Align tool is really helpful for lining up 2 or more objects on your canvas. You can center it, move it left to right, horizontal or vertical. Group attaches 2 or more objects together on the Design Space canvas. When you send it to the mat, they won't remain together. Whereas Attach holds 2 purposes. You can fix objects together in one place and then it will carry it over to the cutting mat and cut it exactly as you've positioned it. Or you can attach score, deboss or text to another object. The Slice function allows you to cut one object out of the other. The Weld function is also very helpful. It allows you to combine 2 objects to make one uniform object. The 2 objects must be touching each other or slightly overlapping to work. Arrange allows you to put objects behind or in front of each other, and this is helpful to see objects layered together. The Load and Unload button looks like 2 arrows pointing up and down. Once you've affixed your material to your mat, you will load the mat into your Cricut Maker by pressing the Load button. The Cricut button will get everything started. So once you've selected your materials, the Cricut button will flash and you will press this to commence the cut. The Pause button will allow you to pause your project mid-cut rather than completely unloading it all the way. I often use this function to check if my wood pieces have cut all the way through. If you completely unload your mat to check if the cut is complete and then load it back in, the Cricut will often recut slightly misaligned to your original cut, so it's always better to pause, check, and either recommence or unload your mat. We also have these star wheels which hold the mat into place. But if you are cutting with wood, you need to make sure that the star wheels are pushed all the way to the right so that they don't leave these little indents on your wood. Now let's talk about glue. Glues used for miniatures are really a personal preference. I personally like a thicker clear craft glue like this one for most items. Because it's thicker, I don't need to hold objects together or clamp them for the glue to dry. I can also move it around until the dry is complete, and it dries hard and clear. A game changer is using a fine tipped glue bottle for your minis. It allows you to leave a very fine line of glue and prevents glue from seeping out. Glue pens leave a strip of glue residue, which is really helpful for making pillows and sticking other fabric and paper items together. The right product will hold firm and doesn't leave a mess. Super glue has some limited uses for me, and I'd also recommend using a super glue gel like this one, not standard super glue because it can be pretty liquid and difficult to use. Avoid using super glue on plastic, acetate or dark pieces because it leaves a white film when dried. For bigger pieces of wood like a wall, I'll use continuous dabs of tacky, super and wood glue to hold it in place. I'm personally not a big fan of glue guns for making miniatures. I find they tend to dry really fast and they leave excess residue. Here are some other items you can use when making miniatures. Sandpaper is a must for making miniatures with wood. You can sand down edges to make them smoother, or even take existing paint off a piece to repaint it. It has lots of uses. You absolutely need a ruler to make minis, to measure out objects or spaces where you'd like to place a mini item. I prefer using a metal ruler, but this is a personal preference. Tweezers, I recommend both flat tweezers and pointed tipped tweezers for holding objects together when they're drying, folding, and really an extension of your fingers where it's too small to reach. Clamps, sometimes you'll need to hold two objects together until some glue dries. I use these miniature clamps and they're really perfect. You could also use mini bulldog clips to hold things into place. Miniature pliers are really great for bending wires that are too small or too difficult to bend. I like having both a small pair of scissors as well as some fabric scissors on hand. I use scissors in almost every mini project to cut various materials. These miniature wire cutters are perfect for cutting small pieces of wire. You can also use scissors, but these cutters are more precise and they're very easy to use. A brayer is great for affixing materials onto my Cricut mat. It ensures the material stays stuck to the mat and removes any air bubbles. And when you're cutting very intricate designs, you absolutely want to make sure all of the material is adhered to the mat. Spatulas are great for removing materials off the Cricut mat or carefully lifting materials that have been cut. Cricut make these spatulas, and you can also get the cheaper Nicapa versions too. I use the smaller plastic scraper for my mini projects, excellent for removing bubbles, sticking vinyl down when transferring, or removing scraps from your mat. I keep a variety of different beads and fasteners on hand for my mini projects. You can use them on lamps or even making fixtures like tapware. I've collected a lot of leftovers from miniature kits that I've assembled, but you can also buy them separately. Beads are also very versatile and they can be used for potted plants or other home fixtures. Lace is really excellent for edging bedspreads, couches, or other linen minis to give it a little something extra. You want to look for patterns that are smaller in design. Having some acrylic paint on hand in a variety of different colours means you can colour wood in your preferred coloured scheme. I also recommend having markers on hand, which you can use effectively as a wood stain. Scrapbook paper is perfect and it comes in a number of designs and colours. Often the patterns are quite mini. They're great for adding flair to your project. You can even stick it onto your walls or wooden furniture to add a little pizzazz. I use a variety of different fabrics. You can get small square samples for free from many furniture stores, and I've used these as mats or carpet in my miniature dollhouses. Felt is also very versatile for layering and using as carpet. I frequently used this poplin fabric for soft furnishing like couches or beds. You can get a quarter bundle with a number of fabric styles and colours, and it's usually called a fat quarter. It's just enough fabric to make a couch or a bed or other mini item. Painter's tape is really crucial to cutting wood with your Cricut Maker. When placing your wood sheet onto the purple mat, you should also use the painter's tape to secure it down so that it doesn't move around. Having a printer on hand is also really great for the print and cut feature on your Cricut Maker. You can make things like artwork, mini food packaging, or other mini items. A good printer is key. I also use a lot of clear contact. It can be used to fortify wood that you're sending through your Cricut Maker. You can also make your print and cuts shiny, which is great for packaging. It's just a really versatile product that has a number of uses. Now let's talk about scaling. For scaling things down, I will usually Google a product or furniture item in full size, then use Inch Calculator to scale down to my preferred scale. You simply enter your preferred scale, the full size dimensions, and then it will populate the size that you need to shrink it down to. So is the Cricut Maker worth it? I think for me, the Cricut was a worthwhile investment and took my mini projects to the next level. It also really speeds up the time to create miniatures. I still have full creative control to design and plan my own projects, and there's joy in being able to piece it all together at the end. The possibilities are endless. Cricut Design Space has a miniature guitar pattern. All you need to do is search for the word miniature and it'll come up as the first option. I've got a video here that will show you how to assemble it. It's a great place to learn how to cut wood, and the design is already made for you. I'm always happy to answer any questions you might have. Leave me a comment below and I'll try my very best to answer. Thanks for watching and supporting my channel.